So today's project is inspired by this beautiful little box that I've had for quite some time. I got it as a swap at one of the first conventions that I went to. I was really blown away by it. The little door here opens and it had a little sugar, it's still got a little tiny sugar cube in it, and the top flipped up, and inside of here was some coffee which I've already drunk. So I took this box, it's been sat on my side for ages and ages, and I wanted to make one similar. So this is the first one I made. It was a little bit narrow, and the thing that I'd brought to go in here didn't quite fit, so I needed to have one that was slightly wider. So the instructions that I have got for the box that we're going to make is this one, which opens at the top. It's got some coffee and sugar in there, I don't know whether you can see. And then I've got in here, I've got some little chocolates that are going to fit in there to go away. Now, the first time I made this, it took me 2 sheets of paper, and then I thought, oh, if I'm a bit clever, I can definitely make this out of 1 sheet of paper. So this is how we did it, or this is how I did it. Normal piece of A4. I'm not a big one on measuring, and I like to do it as little as possible. So the first cut you're going to make is here, and that's at 5 inches. So don't worry about this measurement, but that is 5 inches. Once you've cut this piece off, turn it sideways, and then you're going to cut another one at 5 inches and a piece at 2 inches. And this little piece here is one of those spare little scraps that gets thrown away. So what we do first is you're going to score this at 1.5 inches and 3.5 inches, and score it all the way down. Then turn it on your short side, and we're going to score it at 1.5 inches and 6 3/4 inches. And you can see on there that I've made a quick note of what we need to do. Then we're going to use a bone folder and a ruler to score into diagonal strips here and here, and then the black lines are just guides of where we're going to cut it, and I'll show you that later. So that was the long piece. That is this piece from here. This piece, although we cut it at 5, what I then want you to do is to take it to our trimmer and cut us off a slither down here. Now, for those of you who don't know what the slither is, in my measurements it's easy, and it's because, again, I don't like doing measurements. I don't know whether you can see. This is the runner piece that the blade runs down, so that all our measurements on our trimmer come from here. A slither is this little crease here, the little tiny line where this fits in, and literally the piece we're taking off is just that width there, the little tiny piece. And we're going to do that so that it fits quite nicely in when we put it together. Now, because we have trimmed a little bit off of this side, we're going to score it at 1.5 inches, and then we're going to turn it all the way around and score it at 1.5 inches again. Then the rest of it's cutting. No, it's not. Then we're going to turn it on its side. We're going to score at 1.5 inches, 3, 4.5 inches and 6. But this middle panel, we're going to score that at 5, and that's because we want this piece at the bottom is a box, and we want it to be narrower here than we want it to be here. So once we've done that, they're all our scored pieces, and I'm going to show you how to cut those down. So, using our snips, we're going to cut up here, I'm going to cut up here, and then when I scored these lines, I used my ruler just to go over and draw me another line because it was easier. I'm going to trim all the way up here. I'm going to snip into there and cut that piece off. to do the other side as well. So that's our first piece. I know some people like to fold and then burnish everything, but I like to do my cutting first. And then that piece. Now I don't like using things which are no longer with us when it comes to being a demonstrator. The punch that I use for this piece here, I don't actually know where I've put it when I've been tidying up, so I'm going to use this one instead. And I did just fold them in, poke it under. I want to take off the minimum amount, so down that much. Shake. And that'll just give us the top of our box to fold over. And then we're going to, now bizarrely with this one I found it easier to do the scores first. Doesn't really matter. The only one I'm not going to do is that middle one, because I am going to cut that. So we're going to cut into here, across here, and you can see this is just eyeballed. I'm not too bothered because it's going to go inside. Cut down here. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to use one of our small circle punches just to punch a thumb mark for opening that box. And then I'm going to do one of those wiggly things. If you don't have a large circle punch, then you can just draw these in, or you can use a die maybe. So I'm putting the corner in to take the top, to take these pieces out so that it folds in nicely. It doesn't have to be too precise. It's probably easier if I punch it and then show you it afterwards, so like that. As I say, it doesn't matter how much you take off, but you don't want to take too much off because this is what actually holds your box in. And then again, just when I eyeball it, I'm going to take these two flaps and just make them smaller. About halfway should do. Now, because it's Christmas and because I made loads of cards, I'm completely out of Tombow. And when I put my order in, I forgot to order it. So, we have one of those days where we're just going to use somebody else's glue. So I'm just going to put some glue down there. I'm just going to fold that in. So as if we were going to make a normal box. Then with this one, I'll fold it up and I'm just going to snip those little bits in. As I said to you earlier, I don't like measuring. I like to make stuff as easy as possible. So just from that cut mark down into that corner, you need to make sure you get right into that corner. And then we're going to glue these outside flaps. The other reason I have no Tombow left is because I took it to guides with me when we were making our Christmas cards, and they seemed to think that they needed a lot of Tombow, despite however many times I told them they didn't. So our box will then fold like that. So this is one of those things. This is why we need to trim it round so it goes in. And then again, take those little scissors, a little snip on each side. I'm sure that when Simone made hers, she probably measured them and they were all beautiful. But I'm not. And then what I did, I was just taking a pencil, and this is because I wanted to put a little bit of glue on them later. It's just draw around those pieces. And that's because when I made my first one, this one, I had trouble getting this bit to stay in. It kept coming out. I found what it needed was a little bit of extra glue. So this is the way I do it. Some of you will probably have a better way of doing it. Take your box and stand it up so it's square, and then squish that in so it goes right to the bottom. And then I put these down, and this is where those pencil marks come in. I want a dab of glue, but make sure that they are not in this turning circle. And again, the more you cut off, the easier that will be. Now, while that's drying, I need you to make another snip where this box meets there, and just snip as far as the crease mark, and then you are going to trim off those flaps. And actually, when I did this before, I did it before I stuck the box in, but it doesn't really matter. Now, before that, or before you do the next bit, I just tuck them in. Now they're on the outside of that box that's sandwiched between there, and I just found now is the easiest time to do it, she says. Don't push them in all the way because you will need to pull them out later. Okay, fold that over. I just wanted to make my box go as flat as possible, so 2 little snips because they're a bit longer than I need them. Bit of glue on the inside, and then we're going to stick that front down just to make it nice and flat. So this is our little sticky mechanism. Just give it a good wiggle and make sure it hasn't stuck in there. Now, when you cut this, you had one strip here that was 2 inches. All I did with that 2-inch strip was scored it about 1/2 inch down, and then what I did with mine is I actually run mine, this time I run it through one of our embossing folders. I'm just going to trim it in to make it easier to put into the box. A little bit of glue on the wrong side, and this is where you want to open that. You might need to open it all the way up. Put it in, push it all the way in so that when it goes up, it goes like that. Now, I said to you earlier, I don't like measuring, so literally once that's stuck in there like that, I'm going to put it in roughly the right place, put my scissors in and just chop the top bit off. I just found it easier because it's an odd measurement. It's like in inches, it's like something in 3/16. So I was just going to do it like that. And there is our box. And this is the trickiest bit, is being able to make sure that's stuck. It doesn't want to stick. It's because it's not Tombow. So I think I must have knocked my camera when I was doing this yesterday, because for some reason it suddenly turned the orientation and all the picture went funny. So the last thing you saw was me sticking this flap in underneath. The only thing extra I did was I just put a little bit of glue just on those flaps on the inside, so it stays up and doesn't flop open all the time. I put a little bit of magnet in there. If you are somebody who's very observant, you'll notice this is smaller. I decided it was a bit too long, so again I just chopped it off and repunched it. Stuck my little magnet underneath there so that it stays shut. Covered it with a little bit of sparkly ribbon that I had left, and then we decorated the front. So these are both old DSPs. I think they're both old ones. I'll have to have a look now. I have a box of scrap, and I just look forward through and just pick out the colours that match. So the coffee cup is made using our Coffee Cups framelits dies. So large cup, sleeve that embosses and cuts. Let's do this little bit here. We've got a lid, and then we've got a small cup, we've got a tiny cup, and they match with our coffee cafe set. Love this set. I've used it loads. I really hope we keep it and it doesn't retire. Even the Thanks a Latte here, that's got a little oval one here, the whipped creamy bit, coffee beans. This little tag here is little stoppers that go in the top so that your coffee doesn't spill when you put it in the car. Tea bag if you need it. Tag so you could do a tea one. This little cup actually matches the DSP. Let me have a quick look and see. I've got an unopened pack that has this at the front. So this is the DSP that goes with it. Mine's still wrapped. This is the third one of these, and these coffee cups here, they both fit that coffee cup, little coffee cup there. I made my own little coffee cup. I don't know what I attached it to. I'll have to have a look. Oh, on this one, look. I stamped it, I cut it out 3 times, once in white, once in crumb cake, and then that was a bit of a background pattern that I was doing using the wet wipes technique, having a bit of a play, and then just basically trimmed out the bits that I wanted so that I had the layers of my coffee cup. So that is the finished product. All my measurements I will put on the blog, and if you need anything else, give me a shout. It's such a long time since I've done a video. I hope this is okay. Please give me some feedback and tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Thank you very much, ladies. Bye.